All right, guys, happy Monday. How is everybody doing this evening? Welcome back. I was just looking at my phone. I got a emergency alert. National Weather Service severe thunderstorm warning in effect in your area for the next 60 minutes. Destructive winds up to 80 miles an hour. Take shelter in a sturdy building. Well, wish us luck here tonight, and hopefully we don't get taken off the air by the storm. I just finished getting my evening hike in right before the bottom fell out. I could see the lightning rolling in from the distance. And now I'm just sitting here drinking my bedtime tea, sleepy time tea. Well, it's only 8:30, I know, but we went to a movie late last night, 10 p.m. Didn't start till 10:30. You know how that goes. And then it was a 2.5-hour movie. So by the time we got home and I went to sleep, it was like 2:30 in the morning. And then, of course, holiday doesn't matter. My body still wakes up at 6 a.m. So 4 hours sleep. I would like to go to sleep at a decent hour tonight. So hence the sleepy time tea. We'll see if this works. But while I'm sipping on that, I wanted to check some stock prices, check some news, check the box office, check Bitcoin, GameStop, and CNBC. And we had some news this weekend of Trump saying he was going to push some tariffs for Europe off till July 9th, I think. So we got that. Let me, are we actually live here? Trying to see on my YouTube studio. It's not showing me that we're live, but Streamlabs is saying we're live. Let me check in one other place. Yep, it looks like we're live. All right. Back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a dip over the last hour or so, dropping from 109.6 down to 107.6, and it's bouncing back up right now. GameStop, as we know, if you're paying attention, was up in trading in Europe, in Germany today. German markets were open. U.S. markets were closed. And so it is getting a little bit of that pre-market Sunday/Monday evening love here in the after hours, trading up to 34.50. We will have to wait and see if that holds into the morning. That'd be cool. MSTR is up about 1.86% in overnight trading, and Tesla is up about the same. I think that I checked futures several hours ago, and it looked like people were getting bullish that the EMF tariffs got pushed off for a bit. So we'll see if that carries over into tomorrow's trading day for everything. Let us look at some box office here real quick. 3-day weekend. Wow, it was a good box office weekend for the movies. For any of you who are holding stocks in any of the various movie companies, I know many of y'all are trading many of those different tickers. Fantastic weekend. 261 million on the 3-day weekend. If we count today, the 4-day holiday weekend, $325 million. And if I look back at Memorial Day holidays, what is... Oh, okay. Well, let's 325. Let's just look back at 2019. Memorial Day, 230. Memorial Day weekend. 2018 was 226. I mean, 325, even adjusted for inflation, that's a pretty good number considering the quarter we just got out of, right? And our top movies for this weekend, Lilo and Stitch, bringing in $183 million. Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, $77 million. Final Destination, Bloodlines, bringing in 94. That is, 23. Wrong column, Tony. That's not total gross. 23.9 million. And Thunderbolts, 11.8. Sinners, 11 million. Not bad. And then we got The Last Rodeo. I think that was an Angel Studios film that I would like to go see this week. That one is bringing in $6.2 million. I'm going to refresh something up here. Scheduled for... I think the problem is I have the reason I can't see y'all's chat, I have the wrong chat. There we go. There we go. There y'all are. Wow, that's what happens when you're working on 4 hours sleep. I was in the chat for the GME shareholders meeting. That's not for 2 more weeks. Alfredo, Zelly Zen, Tech We Love, Sparky, Scott, Anya, Corey. Man, I was like, there's nobody in the chat. Is everybody just like on holiday asleep? No, Tony, it was your own stupid error. Go to sleep, Tony. Your day's done. I was chatting with Sparky earlier today, I think. Just DM chat, talking, you know, thinking out loud. If you were Ryan Cohen right now and GameStop is pushing $34, $35, $36, do you think about doing a dilution, raising more cash? Do you think about selling more bonds, raising more cash? I know I'm not the only one thinking that. I've heard many of the GameStop people asking the same question. In fact, some of them begging Ryan Cohen to raise more cash. Maybe he does. I think it depends a lot on what their corporate strategy is for that cash. Is their plan for now just amass as much cash as you can, as long as people are willing to hand it over? Then maybe they go ahead and do that. I think that always companies are going to do what is in their own best interest. So the reason the question is kind of hard to answer is we don't know what their strategy is. They haven't really communicated anything. So everybody's just kind of like, are they going to dilute? Are they going to sell more shares? Are they going to sell more bonds? What are they going to do? Don't they got enough cash? All great questions. Unfortunately, none of us know because they've been very tight-lipped about any strategy. Bad R, is it Bader or Bad R? How do you prefer I say your name? Just watch your GMV video. I don't think GameStop will drop back down to 21 zone anytime soon. Yeah, I don't know that they will either, you know, as they've raised cash. They sold those bonds. And I think a lot of the answer of your question and my own question, what is the new speculative baseline level that GameStop could fall down to, depends largely on a couple things. What is the next earnings going to say, earnings-wise, profit or loss from the core business? And did they buy Bitcoin or not? Did they book any unrealized gains off of that? Or are they just sitting on their hands in T-bills? And the third thing that it could depend on, Bitcoin price. What happens with Bitcoin price if it keeps going up? 120, 130. I think GameStop keeps going up unless they tell us they didn't buy Bitcoin. And the final thing is, do they raise more cash, which could have some, temporary downward momentum on the price. Bader, okay. Bader M. But every time GameStop raises money, they're raising their book value. And so, you've seen the analyst, what's his name, Pachter. He's raised his price target. I'm not going to use the word price target. I'm going to use the word fair value calculation. He's raised his fair value calculation of GameStop from 9 to 10 to 11. I think probably now, I'm guessing he's around $13, because when I run my numbers, my calculation, it's worth about $13, maybe 14 fair value based on earnings, including core business earnings, interest earnings, and what we anticipate those to be over the next 12 months, around 13, 14 bucks. Obviously, people are willing to pay a lot more than that because of the speculation that GameStop's going to do something interesting with all that cash. And that's fine. I mean, if that is your bet, I was there making the same bet at $21, buying in April 3rd when I bought GameStop. But as I think about that fair value, I know GameStop is smart. They can calculate the same thing. They're not listening to retail traders telling you that GameStop's worth $1,000. That's ridiculous. Maybe one day it will be. But right now, its fair value is around $13 until we get the next update. And then that number could dramatically go up if they have a bunch of extra earnings from Bitcoin. Could go up to $16. I haven't run the numbers. I gotta run it through my GME calculator model. I don't think I've updated the calculator since they bought Bitcoin, but I have a calculator that, without my emotion, without listening to all the the promoters on YouTube, I just put the math in, traditional finance, earnings-based valuation, and it tells me exactly what GameStop shares are worth. And then I can make my own decision. All right, it's trading 2x the fair value, but I believe that based on the Bitcoin and the fact that it was in that demand zone, that it had a good, better than not percentage chance of going up. And it did, 50%. Beautiful. And I did start locking in some gains on Friday once it crossed over $33. Like I said in the Discord, in the GME room, it could, or maybe I just said it in VIP, it could keep running. GameStop could keep running. But 50% in 2 months, under 2 months, I'm going to start locking in some gains. And if it keeps running, beautiful, beautiful for everybody. Remember, my risk tolerance and my risk management and my trading style doesn't have to be yours. You don't have to like mine. I'm just here talking about what I'm doing. And trying to show a few people there is a way to make money in these stocks on a regular basis. You don't have to just buy and hold it forever and do nothing. I've swung trade GameStop profitably so many times, I have lost count, frankly. Sparky says, what amount of Bitcoin do you think a company has to buy before they need to file because it's significant? Someone just asked that same question on YouTube, and I don't know that I have a definitive answer, Sparky. I have researched the question, and here is what my research led me to believe. And feel free to jump in, guys, if you got better DD. My research led me to believe, as long as GameStop disclosed to investors in March, which they did, that they intended to create a Bitcoin treasury, that they could at any time after that buy Bitcoin. And I don't think that they are required to do ongoing regular updates on that. But I don't know that for sure. I mean, like if they sell shares or they sell bonds, that's a significant event for investors, so they have to disclose it, right? And your question is along the same lines. What amount, if they spent $1 billion on Bitcoin, shouldn't investors know about that? Because what if Bitcoin crashes? You might want to know that today, that they have $1 billion riding on the line. I get it. I don't know. My working theory, until I hear from them in the 10Q, is they don't have to disclose every purchase or regular purchases except in a 10Q. And my other belief is that people like Strategy, MSTR, are doing voluntary disclosures. That is what I think. We'll find out when they show us the 10Q. If they never bought anything, then probably I'm wrong. They didn't issue any disclosure because they didn't buy any. But if they do have some Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and then I'm going to say my DD, my research was probably correct. This is still kind of a gray area, right? It is odd because every other company wants to regularly, ongoing disclose every time. Annoyingly, all of them, the dozen or two that keep buying Bitcoin, every time they buy some, they disclose it. Why is GameStop silent? It doesn't hurt my feelings that they're silent, but I think, you know, it would be nice if they bought some to let investors know. Jaspreet Singh says, do you think AMC can go to $15 a share? I get a question like that very often, Jaspreet, and I'm going to tell you that the same thing that I tell those people. I try and always remain consistent in my answers, whether I'm answering Twitter and DMs, on private phone calls with Mediocre, in Discord voice chat, always the same answer. I don't know, because I don't know. Here, let's establish this premise. Share price, you're asking about $15. Share price, in my worldview, for any ticker, GameStop, AMC, what have you, is derived from the market's expectation of future earnings times a PE ratio. So what do you think the next 12-month earnings are going to be? Do you think AMC is going to book $1 positive earnings for the next 12 months? Then let's just use that for a second. And let's say the industry average PE ratio was 20, then that would give me a $20 price target. But the problem is, the reason I can't answer your question, I don't know if they have more dilution up their sleeve. And I can run spreadsheets and tell you what I think the next 12 months earnings is. You give me a domestic box office, 10 billion, 11 billion, 12 billion, I can tell you with reasonable accuracy what the next 12 months earnings will be. But what if they dilute? What if there's another 50 million shares, 100 million shares, 500 million shares? Make up a number. That will lower the earnings per share, which lowers the answer to your question. Just for a worst case example, let's say they doubled the float from where we're at now. I don't know if they're going to dilute or not, but I'm just walking you through how I think about this question you're asking. If they doubled the float, that would cut earnings in half because you're dividing by more shares. So if you thought AMC was going to make $1 per share, but they doubled the float, we'd say now they're going to make 50 cents per share. So now my price target just got cut to $10 instead of 20. You see how that all works? I can't answer your question with certainty until I get my next heads up from management, what they're going to do about being out of shares, if anything, and how they're going to settle that lawsuit with the bondholders. Is that going to involve shares? Is that going to involve cash? If it involves cash, is that use of cash going to drive some other need to raise cash? Like, there's, for me, several big unknowns right now to consider if you're invested in AMC, which is why for the moment, even though I love this box office, I'm not in AMC. I want to know what two things. What are they going to do about being out of shares? If they tell me we're not going to do anything, we're just going to ride based on free cash flow, great. It's kind of ballsy, but that is an option. I don't think that's the likely choice, but it is an option. If they tell me they're going to dilute, or they need more shares, or they need more shares, but they promise not to use them, well, I'll factor that into my calculations once I hear what they say. I don't know what they're going to do right now. It's just, in my mind, a risk for me. A lot of people don't care about that risk. You know, most people aren't talking about it. For me, I care. You guys do whatever you want. I want to know, is there going to be more shares or not? Because that changes my price targets. And then the only other work we got to do, Jaspreet, like I said, is pick a box office. People in the Discord ask me every day, hey, Tony, at the average market share, if AMC captured the average market share and we did 11 billion in box office next year, what do you think the earnings would be? I can tell you that number with reasonable accuracy. That's how we do our price target calculations in Discord, and I don't make videos about it because of all of that story I just went through with you. I think anyone giving you a price target right now has a high probability of potentially having egg on their face if the company dilutes some more. I don't want to cross that bridge. I'd rather hear from the company and then safely say my due diligence after that, rather than put the cart before the horse right now. Say a number and then the company rug pulls me. That's just embarrassing. I don't like being wrong. Tech We Love says, can you pull up your box office forecast sheet? Are we on target? Yeah. Hang on one second. Let me, I have the tab right here. I have not plugged in this weekend's numbers, but originally I did this forecast for the whole year. I have all of these Q3. Oh, you guys can't see the bottom of the screen. I've got Q3, Q4, Q2, every movie with numbers of what we expect them to do. And then every week I update based on, in the current quarter, what the pre-bookings are, and in the coming quarters, what movies drop in or drop out. Constantly updating these. And that's what you got to do, because I see a lot of people with really bad takes on box office. Oh, they only earned 2.5 billion in the first 4 months, and if you triple that, that means they're only going to make 7.5 billion this year. It doesn't work that way. You don't take the first 4 months and multiply times 3. Box office is based on movie titles. You must know every title, and you must have a reasonably close guess of what that title is going to bring in. Then you can estimate box office, and then you can get some reasonable numbers for how much money the company's going to make or lose. A lot of these people that are very bearish see the worst takes. Literally saying that this year is going to be 7.5 billion. Like, no. And every CEO in the industry has said, you are wrong. You're using the R word math. You're using crazy talk math. But getting back to Q2, I had forecast through the end of June. This is only major titles, let's call it 2.4, 2.5 billion. Reasonable estimates for all of the major releases. Not pie in the sky, not, you guys see the last 2 weeks I've been under forecasting. I'm just putting the numbers in from my spreadsheet based off of the industry contacts that I use to get box office. And I'm coming under. I'd rather come in a little bit under, but let's say 2.5. And then we add in all of the other hundreds of releases in the quarter. This is only, 45 movies. So add in some more slop, another 20%. There's people saying $3 billion for this quarter. I mean, I can't say that is unreasonable. That might be possible. You got 500 million of slop from all of the smaller releases, plus all of these movies that are overperforming my reasonable estimates. Could be 3 billion. I'm not really updating my number until next weekend is done. I want May to close out, but my feeling of where we're at, looking at what I have booked here for the June movies and Mission Impossible closing out, Lilo and Stitch, booking more, Karate Kid, Ballerina, How to Train Your Dragon, Elio, 28 Years Later, F1, Megan. My conservative number right now is 2.8, but I would not rule out 3 billion. Hey, if we go over 3 billion, we're having a damn party, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you what. Anya is saying they are required to disclose holdings and restrictions at both interim and annual reporting periods. So 10Q and 10K, Anya, right? Sounds like you're coming up with the same DD I had, that they are only required to post it on quarterly filings. Now, last night, as I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, we went to go see Mission Impossible. It was 10 p.m. when we went. I'm happy to report that both of us stayed awake till 1 a.m. watching this long-ass movie. I'm gonna credit that to the AMC IMAX in my city. They have the worst, most uncomfortable seats. It's not like when I go to the Dolby or any other AMC, they got the big plush recliners with the heat and the massage and the waitress who brings you your martini. I'm embellishing a little bit, but it's so easy to fall asleep in those big comfy chairs. Not so much in an IMAX chair, no. The movie was really good, Mission Impossible. I was a little bit irritated with the first 10 minutes, hey, let's catch everybody up on everything that's happened over the past 10 years. Once we got past that and got into the real movie, it started moving along really good. All of the action sequences were great. There was a hilarious, I won't do a spoiler, but a hilarious surprise appearance for me of an actor from one of the previous movies. I was not expecting that. It cracked me up. And we had just this week finished rewatching all of the Mission Impossible movies. That's how I prep for going to a movie. I rewatched 7 movies this past week. And it was amazing to see from number 1 all the way to number 7 how his craft of filming this genre or this saga of Mission Impossible improved. The writing improved, the acting improved, the effects improved. I'm sure the budgets improved, which helped. But Yeah, I would highly recommend Mission Impossible if you're a fan. And for sure, go see number 6 and number 7, because that's 90% of the characters are in this movie. And I'm not going to tell you which movie the special guest is from, because then I would spoil it. But if you're a fan, you'll recognize them, and if you're not, well, you'll have to figure it out after the fact. We did not see Lilo and Stitch yet. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Discount Tuesday. Richie Rich, how you doing? AMC Hawkeye says 2.8 billion to 3 billion. Hoorah! What he's looking for. Yeah, there's a lot of movies still that are unknown for me. Like, you can see I don't have a huge number for Karate Kid, 100 million. I think that's being generous. But Ballerina, I have 100 million. It could do more than that. I don't know. Kind of an unknown entry into the John Wick storyline here. How to Train Your Dragon, I have a lot of hopes that one will exceed my number, just because I love that film in general. I hope the movie's good. Elio, I have How to Train Your Dragon at 230. Elio, I have at 201. 28 years later, I mean, it's got a long history, decades of fans. Could do more than the 120 I have here, but I think that's a reasonable number to plan on. 190 for F1. I'm hopeful that one does better. I'm seriously looking forward to that one. In fact, every time that trailer comes up, my wife is like, remember when we saw Brad Pitt at the Formula One here in Austin? I said, maybe he was doing movie research. He really does come here for Formula One. And Megan 2, I have at 50 million. These numbers, like I said, have not been updated. I need in a week, and so some of them might have changed. I might have better numbers to share with you, but I've been busy today and I haven't updated them. So that's where we're at. 2.8, I think, is reasonable. 3 billion, not impossible. I still got a lot of people in the comments saying, "Oh, Tony, we're not going to get over 2.2. We're not going to get over 2.4." I don't know. I think you're undercounting what Lilo and Stitch is going to do. Plus, look, if I just add up these very reasonable numbers just for the major releases, that is $1 billion. $1 billion for the movies that haven't even started yet. And I don't think my numbers are crazy. And that is also not counting the small releases. So we're at 1.6, 1.7 now. Add $1 billion to it. That's how I get my number, 2.8. Add in the slop of the smaller films. Could easily be 3 billion. I don't think that is pumpy or unreasonable to be talking about those kind of numbers based on, hey, I showed you all my numbers. If you don't think one of them's right, then I haven't done the